What's going on, everybody? My name is Marcus Lamar, and joining me on today's show is a very special guest, Andres, aka Mr. Numbers, Mr. Stats. I don't know what the hell they call him nowadays, but Andres Rivas will be joining me. Andres, how's it going?
Doing amazing, Marcus. Thank you for having me, bro. It was a pleasure.
Now, with the NBA returning, well, the NBA actually has returned. It's very interesting because the conversation about who's going to win what award has sparked up. Now, you and I view this very, very, very differently. Now, before you make your case for Giannis and why he should win the MVP, which in full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I believe Giannis Antetokounmpo will win the MVP award. I just don't think that he actually is the MVP of the league. Here is the definition of what most valuable means. This is not my own definition. This is what most valuable means if you look it up on Google. Designating the player to be the most important to the sport. Now, if anybody, to include Andres, can sit here with a straight face and tell me that Giannis, or any player for that matter, is more important to the NBA than LeBron, I would be hard pressed to believe you. There was no player in Michael Jordan's era that was more valuable than him, even though there were other individuals who won the award on a particular instance. There's no player that's more valuable than LeBron. So let's start there. Andres, make the case for why Giannis is the MVP and why he will win the MVP award.
Giannis is going to win the MVP award simply because he's doing something we've never seen before. He's averaging 30 points a game, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists on 61% true shooting percentage. He's not even playing full games. There's games where he sits out like the fourth quarter, or he doesn't play like 40, 42 minutes a game. He's the leader in the NBA in defensive win shares. He's the leader in the NBA in box plus minus. He's a leader in the NBA in player efficiency rating, which measures how good a player is. Twos, threes, fouls, assists, rebounds, free throws, everything accumulated into one stat. The Bucks are on pace to win 60-plus games. The Bucks also have the number one defensive rating in the league. There's only 3 teams in the league that have a top 5 defense and offense, the Bucks being one of them. And he's made Brook Lopez look like a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So that is why I believe the Bucks should. The Bucks are a good team to get out of the East, and why Giannis Antetokounmpo first and foremost should win the MVP. He's won 60 games. Last year, they were on pace to win 60 games. This year, obviously, last year doesn't matter, but in that timeline, the Bucks are on pace to win 60-plus games for 2 consecutive years. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, should win MVP this year.
Hey, look, if we're talking linear, if you're doing Giannis numbers and stats year over year, meaning last year to this year, it's hard to argue against his MVP candidacy. He's putting up better numbers this year than he did last year when he actually won the award. So to argue whether it's LeBron or for anybody winning the award over him would be considered asinine, because if he's putting up better numbers than he did in his MVP year last year, one would theoretically think that he should win the MVP award this year. But the reason I believe LeBron James is the MVP is because I feel the Lakers have a higher ceiling than the Bucks do. I do not believe that the Bucks can win the championship because I don't think that they're good enough as currently constructed to beat the Clippers or the Lakers. I believe the Lakers have a legitimate shot at not only beating the Clippers, but definitely beating the Bucks if they were to meet them in the NBA Finals. So by my definition of what I view as valuable, I heard you rattle off all those stats, and Giannis is having an impressive season. But in the end, and this is where I want to shift gears, Giannis is going to find himself in the same boat that LeBron did prior to leaving Cleveland, which transitions me to my next point. It's interesting how Giannis and LeBron's first 7 years of their career actually mirror one another, seeing as how they're the 2 leading candidates for MVP award this season. So Giannis' first 7 years in the league, 2013 to present. He's averaged over 25 points per game the last 3 seasons. Last year, he won an MVP award. He's on the cusp of winning back-to-back MVP awards. His team won 60 games last year, and before the coronavirus shut down in the NBA, they were on pace to win 60 games again. He missed the playoffs in 2013, his rookie season, but sprinkled in between there, he made the playoffs, got eliminated, lost to the Raptors in the Eastern Conference Finals. Whereas I'm looking at LeBron. LeBron won back-to-back MVPs in Cleveland, 2008-2009 season, 2009-2010 season. His team won 66 games and 61 games, respectfully. They lost in the Eastern Conference Finals. I believe it was in both seasons, or in 2010, I believe he lost in the second round of Boston. So my point is this. Is Giannis on the same track as LeBron? Do we see Giannis bolting and leaving Milwaukee, leaving all that money in the table for potentially greener pastures such as the Miami Heat, who you're very familiar with, or potentially the Golden State Warriors? He's set to be a free agent, not the year coming up, but the year after that, I believe. If I'm wrong, then correct me. Do you see Giannis and LeBron having any similarities in the first 7 years of their career?
It's just funny because in the first 5 years, LeBron, I think he won 8 or 9 playoff series, and Giannis only has 2. But another common factor, another common denominator, LeBron was 24 when he won his first MVP, and Giannis was 24 last year. And this year, Giannis is 25, and LeBron won his second MVP when he was 25. So that's like another common denominator that like not a lot of people look at. And obviously, like it doesn't influence anything, but like it's just a fun statistic that like I like to throw out there. I think if the Bucks don't get it done this year, or if he doesn't see change in the team, like constructing the roster, then he's gonna leave. I think Miami is a great place. Not trying to be biased, given that I was born there. You know, Pat Riley, he always knows how to like deal contracts. You know, Eric Spoelstra is one of the best coaches in the NBA. But another team that's under the radar besides Golden State, besides Miami, is Toronto. A lot of people like to forget that Masai, he was the guy that he put his faith in Giannis, you know, and the Raptors wanted to draft Giannis, and they have a good relationship. And Masai, maybe he's due for a new contract. There's also rumors that the Knicks might get him, you know, and the Knicks are going to become the second coming of Michael Jordan's Bulls, but who knows what the Knicks will look like next year. Obviously, that's not bound to happen. But there's a lot of factors that go into it. You know, Masai being a free agent, the Bucks result this year, the Bucks result next year, how Giannis feels playing in the city of Milwaukee. You know, a lot of people don't like to admit this, but like there's some cities in the NBA where there's like a lot of racism, a lot of players that get talked to, a lot of trash talking. And, you know, a lot of people say, oh, well, when they're locked in, they ignore that. But, like, at some point, you got to open your eyes and realize, like, damn, this is really happening. So I think that if the Bucks don't get it done this year or next year, I think he's bound to leave. Even if the Bucks do make the finals this year and don't get it done, I still think he's going to leave next summer.
Last question before I let you get out of here. Who has a chance of being a bigger star down the road, Giannis or Zion?
It depends on the market. Obviously, ESPN, they already saw Zion as the pinnacle of the future of marketing, and everything with ESPN is marketing. So preseason, before Zion got hurt, you know, the Pelicans had like 30-something games on national TV, which was like top 5 in the NBA behind, obviously, the Lakers, the Clippers, and I think it was Boston maybe, and the Bucks. So the minute Zion got drafted to Pelicans, the Pelicans were a big market team, you know, and having guys like Lonzo Ball, guys like Brandon Ingram, guys like Josh Hart, someone like Alvin Gentry, and a good role player in Drew Holiday, who was a good leader. They were a marketable team. I think that if Giannis goes to a bigger market like LA or Golden State or Miami, then I think he'll trump over Zion. But what Zion's doing right now is ridiculous. He's averaging 24 points a game on 60% from the field. And a lot of people like to say, oh, well, he should do that. He can get in the paint. But how are you going to take someone's talent away? If the easiest shot for him is a dunk or a layup, why should he try to do something that he should? Should he shoot threes from half court like Damian Lillard? No, because he can't shoot threes from half court like Damian Lillard. So taking someone's God-given talent and telling them, take that away, what is he, is just bogus.
Yeah, I think it's a flawed argument. I hate when people bring it up. It's like saying when people say, well, all Steph Curry does is shoot. Yes, because he does it really well. Andres, I appreciate you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I'll be bringing you back on in the future, man. Thanks.
Appreciate you having me, Marcus. Stay safe.